Hey guys, Tom from BuyMeAniPhone.com back with you today. And today I just wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction into part one of our roundtable discussion we had at Speck. As you guys know, I had the opportunity to go check out Speck's headquarters in Palo Alto, California, and I had a chance to sit down with some of the people that work for Speck. In particular, I had the chance to sit down with Brent Baer, the Director of Marketing over at Speck, and Bryan Hynecek, who is the Senior Industrial Designer. So we had a ton of footage. We talked about a plethora of different subjects. So I wanted to kind of break it up and give you guys a couple of different videos with it. So today's video is going to be our discussions about Speck and their partnership with ArtsProjekt and how they've kind of combine the two entities to make their very popular spec-fitted ArtsProjekt limited edition cases for the iPhone 3G, 3GS. So I'm just gonna let the tape roll a little bit and show you what they had to say about the ArtsProjekt, and I hope you guys enjoy. Please leave me feedback, leave me comments, rate and subscribe, and if you guys like these types of videos, I'll be sure to do more of them. So let's go right over to our roundtable discussion at Speck in Palo Alto. I wanted to talk a little bit about the ArtsProjekt. You know, we had talked about that a little bit off camera, and you know, I know we're kind of doing things a little bit different today. We're just like really casual, you know, it's not this formal interview, but we were talking about how the ArtsProjekt isn't just a case anymore, and it's more of a kind of a personality statement and about kind of the background of the case instead of, oh, it's just this cool design. Sure. So, you know, how did you guys really get started with ArtsProjekt, and you know, how did that come about? I mean, did you meet somebody at a bus stop or what?
I'll let Bryan talk a little bit about this as well, but you know, Fitted is really kind of the base for ArtsProjekt. ArtsProjekt is an addition of Fitted. You know, Fitted as a concept is really about really making custom fit personality out of whatever we stretch across it, and that's kind of the mission of Fitted in terms of that personality that you're talking about. And then as a company, Speck always looks to bring new things even to those platforms. And so, you know, you look for partners and you look for content design, different inspirations. And we happen upon the folks through Zazzle and the ArtsProjekt group at Zazzle, and it was very much aligned with the kinds of things that we are both interested in and are passionate about in terms of creativity and artwork and personality as well.
Yeah, so I think personality is a really important part of it, because Speck is an organization that has a lot of personality, and we're very extroverted about the personality. We don't have a brand that we try to get everybody to match to. It's sort of the other way around, where we've got a collection of eclectic people, and our personalities are really pushing the Speck brand out. And so, and as part of Fitted, from its genesis, its idea was to be a product that had a very broad but shallow assortment. We wanted to make a chassis that was universal and develop a fabric application technology that gave it the warmth of an apparel product as opposed to sort of the coldness of a consumer electronic product. So once we figured out how to do that, then we could span it across tons of different fabrics, and all of a sudden people started to actually view the product as more as a product that's a fashion statement as opposed to a protection for my device statement. And then as we continue to research, you know, how different fabrics that we can apply to it, different things that we can do to the fabric, we met with Zazzle on different ways that we could print onto the fabric. And Zazzle put us in touch with Andy Howell, who's the curator of ArtsProjekt, and in brainstorming the execution of it, we came up with this technique of curating artists that really made sense and really sort of fit with the Speck personality, and putting out these limited edition products that we would cycle through, where we didn't do a huge volume of them. We did sort of relatively limited volumes of them, so that once people started purchasing, they feel a little bit more like they're part of an exclusive club as opposed to buying a case that there's millions of. And we have been and are going to continue to rotate through them, where we'll continually put new artists' work on it, and it's an opportunity also to expose a larger mass of people to something that's a little bit more of a fine art piece, where we're taking stuff that, you know, these artists already have a certain following, but now we're trying to expose this group of artists' work to a whole new demographic of people.
Right. We're not taking things like Monet's and trying to reproduce them and put them on cases. These are real artists. These are up and coming and lesser known artists and whatnot. So they're also, their artwork and their expressions and exposure, there's greater exposure in those things for the artists as well. But you know, the other thing behind the ArtsProjekt is that it's not like that these artists have designed a case. This is artwork. This is artwork that they have output on a canvas somewhere, and that we have tried to very thoughtfully and genuinely transfer over into this experience. So that's the other thing too, is that it's not just took a canvas, put it on a case, and let the artist kind of go at it. This is true artwork, output from different artists, and also globally. These are artists not from one particular group or camp, but these artists from around the world as well. So culturally, there's a lot of different messages that come through these things. There's everything from political statements to an extent, to just expressions of self, to love, lots of different themes. You can imagine artwork, right? In terms of what it conjures culturally, what it means, symbolism, all of those things. So in terms of content, and in terms of meeting that with design, artwork is to a certain extent universal, but also limitless as well. And it just makes a great natural extension of our portfolio of products, so that we bring a lot of interesting and unique and very different kinds of things that really can't be duplicated elsewhere.
So when you decide which artist's work is going to be featured on a Speck Fitted, do you look at the artwork itself and how it may transfer over to a case, or do you look at the story behind the artist or the art, or is it a combination of them?
It's everything. It's once again, it goes back to the personality thing, because just like us in the group at Zazzle and Andy, we all sort of click. We all sort of get along, and it's kind of how the art's curated. It's going through the personalities of the work and see what it represents, and see sort of does it fit? Does it make sense? Because we don't want things that are like offensive in any way, or anything that's too much of a deviation from or ingenuine to the types of people that we are. So we want it to sort of make sense with, like, an interesting rule of thumb is just that if we rock these cases, then it's safe to say that the artwork or the artist makes sense with the Speck case.
But we also do know that there's lots of ways to kind of stretch that across artwork. Artwork is extremely relative in terms of what's offensive or connects with me is different than what is going to connect with you. The same piece of artwork, right? So that's also the beauty of it, in that it's going to connect in different ways with different people, and ultimately, in terms of that litmus test of figuring out what that curation is, we try to create a balanced portfolio. There's to bring X number, let's say 3 or 4 designs to market. Typically, there is a process that we will go through and curate through, sometimes hundreds of pieces of artwork, and we look at it instinctually, we look at it culturally, we look at it in terms of personality and fit, and
even relative to one another as a collection, because they're coming out in sort of waves of collections that the 3 or 4 that we're putting out at a time sort of makes sense together. Right.
There's a kind of a gallery effect, if you will, that when you look at now, I believe there's 8 or 10 designs that will be on the market under the ArtsProjekt editions, and so when you really step back and you look at this, you're really kind of looking at a gallery setting, and there's lots of different feels and moods and messages that are being sent, and that's what's really exciting about this, is that it's a very continually moving kind of line of product. It's not it's kind of the same base design, maybe with maybe a different color that's been changed out. I mean, they're completely different expressions, and while it might be on the same chassis, if you will, the same fitted architecture, I mean, the difference in feel and how you personalize and what you experience through this is completely different, and on a much more frequent basis too.
So, for example, I know that the last edition that came out, the most popular of the three from the viewers by far was, can you guys guess which one it was?
I'm guessing it was Cutie Pie.
It was Cutie Pie, which shocked me. I don't know why it did, but I didn't think that would be the most popular. I mean, I liked it, but everybody wanted the Cutie Pie. When I did the giveaway, everybody wanted the Cutie Pie. So what's the story behind the Cutie Pie?
Well, I think when you take a look at Speck's assortment and everything, you can see that we're a company that we don't have an arrogance when it comes to our products. Everything's really fun. Products have clever twists to them. We're not esoteric, I guess. And the Cutie Pie is just one of those things that instantly made sense when we saw the artwork and found out the artist's name, and everything about that just felt like it resonated with Speck. You know, everything from if you look at the roundness of the illustration to the roundness and softness of our logo, all that stuff just sort of vibed together. So that was one that it sort of leaped off the wall and just instantly made sense.
And I think, again, different connections for different people. Yeah. I think that you look at Cutie Pie, and it is iconic, and it is graphic, and it is cute, and so there's a different general appeal. And I can tell you, not only from your viewer base, also enjoying Cutie Pie and kind of ranking that as their top choice of the initial three that we did, but even from a selling perspective, we've experienced the same as well on Cutie Pie. So, the market kind of defines what it kind of will gravitate to. I think that's the beauty of things like an ArtsProjekt edition case, is that the market, to a certain extent, also curates in the process with us. So we do not pretend to try to force gatekeep products on markets. Markets help also tune that curating with us, and that's also exciting for us too, because we see the reactions back from those viewer base. People vote with their dollars, they vote with their opinions as well, and then it helps us also steer that curation, that collection.
So when someone's choosing their next ArtsProjekt fitted case, how would you suggest they choose it? Would they just look at it and whichever one floats your boat, buy it? Or do you think that they should go deeper into the artwork?
Well, I think that there's a combination. It's just like when you go to a museum and you experience artwork. Typically you walk through there and there's certain work that just speaks to you, and you can't always put your finger on why it does that. And a lot of people, and this is kind of how we want to introduce people to new creators of art, is when you're walking through the store and you see these things, hopefully visually it stimulates you and excites you and makes you want to learn more about who created the work.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that outside of the company that's ultimately sponsoring and bringing you the product, there is a deeper story to it. There is a human being, like with all of our products, they're designed by humans for sure, but this has another layer to it, in that there is an additional story behind the product itself, and behind the artwork in particular, in terms of its inspiration or message or how it's created, and that's a unique experience. It's a unique product. It's more three-dimensional than it is two-dimensional.
Right.
And that's what ArtsProjekt kind of offers, is and to Brian's point, I think that you tend to react. Give yourself permission to do that, and to kind of gravitate towards what you feel is you, or that you like, or that is expressive of you, and then learn a little bit more. And that's the beauty of ArtsProjekt in particular.
Cool. So where can when viewers go to SpeckProducts.com, where can they get more information about the artist that is on the ArtsProjekt case.
We have all of the bios of our artists, their backgrounds, the story behind their artwork. It's all on our website as well. So when you go to our website and find the ArtsProjekt line, you'll find information about the designs, where they're available. All of these are limited editions as well. So once they're gone, they're gone. As well, they're very special runs. We haven't made thousands and thousands and thousands, so you truly own something that's part of a scarce group of products. But all of the information is on our website. You can pull down and download bio cards of all the artists as well. It tells you where they're from, certain statements from them about their experience in creating the artwork, and some of the messages that were behind it as well.